from me, and I don't want him to have independence, obviously. So what I can do is I can find my spy master. I can tell him to go scheme in the kind of sent home province of Robert of the Isles, because he owns several provinces, including this one. Basically, where this shield is denotes where his kind of capital province is. That's always useful when you need to know where to point your people. So all these little shields, these are kind of the capital provinces of all the title holders that are under me. So yes, I'm going to ask him to go there and discourage him from wanting independence, because, you know, who doesn't want to be part of England? It's the greatest country in the world, obviously. Oh, Duke Ethelwald of Lancaster has founded another faction, Lower Crown Authority in England. That's a dangerous one, actually, because at the moment my Crown Authority is medium, which you know, it's kind of like a balanced state between the vassals and the monarch. The only reason I go up to medium, I don't normally like going up that high because, well, your vassals don't like it, but any lower than that, and then the vassals can start fighting amongst themselves, and that's actually pretty annoying. So, yeah, I keep it at medium just to stop them fighting amongst themselves, because obviously the more they fight amongst themselves, the less troops they're going to have, and the less I can actually call on if something serious comes up, like, you know, an invasion like I have been just here. This is a small raiding party. These are kind of pagan Norsemen, and the pagans have the ability to raid kind of non-pagan lands. If I go to, yeah, so this is kind of like a gold meter for this particular province, and at the moment they're raiding it. Just tick along, yeah, see how it's going down because of their presence. Alright, they've hopped it now. But yeah, if you don't deal with them quite swiftly, they will drain money from your coffers, not directly from there, but just from the natural wealth of a province, and that can obviously have bad effects. Yeah, off they go. They normally run away if you send a strong enough force after them. Luckily, I've progressed enough to have a standing army, or a retune as it's called in this game. Big massive armies, you know, waiting for war to happen weren't really a thing back then. You had your bannerlords and your vassals, and when you needed them you'd call them up and go to war, which is basically what happens in this game. You have your own kind of personal holdings, so you can call up personal troops if you really want, and then also you can call up troops from your various vassals, but they're not sitting around waiting for a war to start. You had to have their families and crops to sow and all that kind of stuff. But again, in a later edition of the game, they added the concept of retunes, which is kind of like a personal bodyguard, if you will, but in this case it's taken to a slightly larger degree because well, look at that, 2,000 strong mini army that I can just throw around wherever I want, and they don't cost, well, any upkeep as well, by the looks of things. And they don't count as having your forces raised either, so you don't have to worry about... Oh, nice for them. A successful jihad for Anatolia. Not that I care, but, you know. Prince Essos for England is now legal. Ah, this is one of my many daughters. Daughters in this game, I mean, you can play as a daughter, as a female character if there's no eligible male characters. Female characters, obviously there wasn't that much equality for women back in these days, so they're limited in what they can do. I mean, also there was actually a chance a while back for a daughter of a previous character to become queen, but then at the last moment a son was born, and that was actually the son who was almost had the throne taken away from him because he came at an awkward time, and then my character died and the son was too young to take the throne because he had to have a regency, and that caused loads of problems. But yes, this is one of my daughters. I've got plenty of sons, so I don't need to worry about her becoming leader unless they all died in a random garden accident or something. But so really, she's useful for getting alliances. Alliances are very fickle in a game like this. It's not, you don't just make an alliance with someone and it lasts forever. Essentially, my daughter will marry whoever she marries, and she'll gain me an alliance with that country for the life of my character and possibly my heir as well, assuming that the heir is directly related to this character. So my heir is my son, Prince Ethelfred, who's the sister of this character I'm trying to marry off. So the alliance should hold through to him when he becomes king. I can't actually remember what happens there, but probably no longer than that, because then, you know, the marriage tie becomes obsolete, and, you know, those guys don't care and we don't care. So it's kind of very hard to get friends in this game, and friends can be very fickle as well. But anyway, I need to marry her off. It's always worth looking at who will... Prince of Aquitaine. Oh. Yeah, why not? That might mix things up a bit. What I'm looking at here is the matrilineal marriage option. So there's two ways you can marry someone. You can marry someone normally, but obviously it depends on whether your character's male or female. You can marry someone matrilineally. A matrilineal marriage means that any offspring of that marriage will be of the female's dynasty. So because this is my daughter, she's part of my dynasty, if I get a matrilineal marriage for any of these people, any sons or daughters they have will be of my dynasty, and therefore eligible for me as the player to play as should something horrible happen to the other people in my dynasty. It's just a way of ensuring that your bloodline carries on and that you always have someone to play as. It's also very useful for political manoeuvring and gaining claims of thrones, and if you get the right matrilineal marriage, you could acquire an entire kingdom at succession, which is always quite fun. So I'm gonna see what happens. This Prince of Aquitaine is open for matrilineal marriage, so I would do it and see what happens. I don't really need an alliance with anyone else. I'm actually quite strong at the moment, and well, if you just look at Central Europe, it's a mess right now. At the start of the kind of 866 campaign, there is actually the map is not what you would recognise it as. It's another kind of forgotten area of history, but there was a massive... There was a massive kingdom that spanned all this area that I'm highlighting here. It's called the Kingdom of the Franks, essentially. It spanned, you know, a huge area all the way down into Italy as well. And on the death of I can't remember which emperor or king it was. Basically, the kingdom was split by his sons. There was a central kingdom, the Kingdom of Lotharingia, which was kind of made up just so that the Lothar, which was one of the sons, could have his own thing to govern. Then there was West Francia, and then there was East Francia. Now West Francia kind of got his act together, kind of centralised, and essentially evolved into the Kingdom of France. By now they should really have controlled all of this and be a more kind of central entity. Lotharingia was kind of, well, it didn't really hold its form that well. You can see it's just hanging on there. There you go, King of Lotharingia. And it was kind of gobbled up by both West Francia and France, and East Francia, which became the Holy Roman Empire. It was kind of more, it wasn't as centralised as France was, but in this game particularly, it's basically a solid entity that you play as. So by 1066, those France and the Holy Roman Empire would have been well in place. In fact, if you go to the 1066 start in this game, you'll see it's fine, but because I started earlier, history can change, anything can happen, and at the moment, God knows what's going on. I mean, look at this. God, there's Germany there. Germany's not supposed to show up. Kingdom of Germany, yeah. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess right now. Italy seems to be the kind of the strongest single entity, and then you got the Hungary there. Byzantine Empire still holding strong, so there's a mess there. So there's really no credible threat to me right now. Which makes it a weird point of the game, because well, not a lot to do at the moment, really. Let me just Oh, Duke Ulf Sittle II of Mercia seeks to fabricate a claim on the Kingdom of England. Well, we can't have that. Oh, you can ask them you can just ask them to end their plots, and sometimes, most of the time, they say yes. Sometimes they say no. And oh, Duke Godwin. No, I lost my steward. Yep, he's agreed to end his plot. Everything's fine. I've noticed that people die a lot more in this game, just sort of like plagues and stuff. Seem to go through courtiers and vassals and things quite quickly. So, a bit worrisome really. Alright, let's chase them off. So yeah, so this was just, well, as I said, it was a test stream. I just wanted to see how it's going out. I've got a second screen up and it doesn't look like the game footage has stretched to the whole window box, so apologies for that. There's nothing much I could have done to... Oh, someone's talking to me. Loopy178. Hello, Loopy178. Sorry for not seeing you. If you can hear me, if you're still there. I'm still kind of new to all this. And no, I do not have the Crusader Kings 2 customization pack. I've got the ruler designer, which is something you can use before you enter a game. You can sort of take any character from any start date and then customize them to your heart's content. Customize things like his looks, his traits, his family, etc, etc, etc. I kind of find stuff like that cheating in a way. Like, yeah, I suppose I could create me or something and then play as me, but then I was never in history, so what I prefer is to play someone from history, someone that interests me, and see what I can do with them. And the customization pack is just kind of an extension from that. The customization pack is a similar sort of piece of DLC where you can modify someone in-game. Like, well, so right now I could take my King Ethelstan the Drunkard and modify him a little bit. But again, I kind of find that cheating. The whole point of the game is that you're sort of meant to just roll with the punches, get what you get, and you know, I don't. They look how they look. It's not the best graphics in the world. It's just, you know, it's just a portrait. It doesn't really matter. So no, I don't have the customization pack. I don't intend to. I just like to play as is really. But anyway, yeah, that's it for my test stream. Thank you for all of 1 or 2 people that were watching. If you have any feedback to give me, please do, because I do want to get better at this, and I do want to sort of make a thing of this. So hopefully stuff will happen. So yeah, my name's Joe Robinson. You've been watching the Digital Eccentric feed, and I will see you next time.